Hi, I'm Craig, and I help veterans go from feeling stuck and unseen after service to living with confidence, connection, and purpose so that they can thrive in civilian life and relationships. Hey, vets and families, it's Craig, and welcome to Royal Rock, where we help you reclaim your purpose, strengthen your relationships, and live royally and live well. If you know you're in the right place at the right time, then we want to help you do that. You are in the right place at the right time to make sure you live royally and live well. And we're so happy to have you here. Listen, before I even get into today's video or what the topic is, I want to say thank you so much for all of my subscribers. Thank you so much for those who support and watch the YouTube videos. We hit 500 subscribers, and we could not have done that without the support and without the watching and the subscribing and the commenting and the liking of these videos. It's so great to know that we are making a difference in the lives of veterans and families, and it encourages me to continue to make these videos that will have positive and lasting impact on veterans and their families for years and years and years to come. So if you like what we're doing, subscribe to the channel, like, comment, share this with veterans and families that you know that need the help and that will be able to understand so they'll be able to understand how to submit their claims the right way, how to submit their claims in an effective way to prevent resubmission of claims and to make sure that they get everything that they need so that they can live lives that are are destined, purposed, and royal and well. So that's what we're trying to do. We want civilian life to be thriving and excellent post military life. And that's what our aim is here at this channel because we know the veterans deserve just that. So today's video is a must watch if you are starting your VA disability claim. We are breaking down VA Form 21 TAC 0966, and this is the intent to file form for the VA, and showing you how this simple step can secure your earliest effective date and maximize your back pay. You may have heard people online talking about locking in your effective date. What they're talking about is the intent to file. And we're going to show you what the intent to file is today, the form you fill out to do that, and how you can lock in your effective date to make sure that you get the pay and the benefits that you deserve. So whether you're filing online, whether you're filing by phone, by mail, or by fax, we'll walk you through the process with real examples and key tips to avoid costly mistakes. So without further ado, let's get started on today's video. Okay, so why does this intent to file matter? That's the first thing we're going to start off talking about. And so, as we discussed a little bit earlier, the intent to file matters because the effective date and its impact on retroactive benefits is key and important. Remember, once you file the intent to file, you have 1 year to submit the claim to get back paid toward that day for that day. Because the VA understands that it takes time to gather records and it takes time for them to process the claim as well. So that's the reason why the intent to file matters, or at least one of the reasons. Another reason why it matters is submitting an intent to file locks in the earliest effective date and it may yield retroactive payments. The key word there is that it may yield retroactive payments. Remember, it will only yield retroactive payments for you if you actually have compensable claims from injuries or an in-service event that you can claim with the VA. A lot of people just think that I'm going to file this intent to file, and no matter how I submit my claim, I'm going to get back paid. Well, you will only get back paid if the VA deems that your claim is to be compensated monetarily because of the evidence that you submit. So those are the caveats to getting back pay. Just because you submitted an intent to file and just because you sent in a claim to the VA does not necessarily mean you are guaranteed that back pay. You actually have to win the claim. You actually have to convince the VA and the RBSRs and the raters, and if you're doing a higher level review, the senior level raters, and if you're doing a BVA, you have to convince the DRO, maybe at HLR level, and you have to convince the officials at the VA that you have the evidence to when your claim. So, effective date is the date of receipt of the intent to file, not your claim submission. Very important to understand that. If someone asks you, what is your intent to file date? That's the date that you submitted to the VA that you intended to file a claim. Now that date can run out because if you don't file that claim within a year, then you have to submit a new intent to file and your 12-month clock starts over again. So let's do an overview of VA Form 21-0966. Sometimes these forms can be confusing, but we're gonna go over all of them for you today. So it captures basic identification, benefit type, whether that's compensation, pension, or dependent indemnity compensation. DIC would be for spouses of veterans who died from service connected illnesses. So, the purpose of an intent to file, always remember, is to file an intent to file a claim. It's not your claim submission. Oftentimes, veterans get this mixed up. They think when they're filing their intent to file, oh, I already submitted everything for my claim. That's not what this is. It's submitting an intent to file a claim to the VA for compensation. And so think of an intent to file, the ITF is like a lock in date. Okay. It's to lock in your date of retroactive pay should you have a favorable claim from the VA. Now, let's talk a little bit about the actual sections of the intent to file form that you'll be submitting. Some people will submit on va.gov. Some people can submit on Quick Submit. Some people will fax their form in, and some people will mail their forms in. And some will walk into a VSO's office and actually submit an intent to file form there. So I'm just going to go over the sections of the form. If you're submitting this online, it's going to look differently, but it's the same idea of the type of information that you can expect to see. And so this is the intent to file a claim for compensation and or pension or survivor's pension and or DIC that's popped up there on the screen. And one aspect or element of the intent to file is that first section, which in section one, you'll note, just like you see on other VA forms, you'll note that it just has a spot for your name. It has a spot for your social security number. It has a spot for if you've ever filed a VA claim, and then your VA file number, which typically isn't applicable. Okay, now we move to section 5 of the VA intent to file form, and it has your date of birth. And what you'll find on these VA forms is that the beginning of the form, which is just the veteran's identification information, is pretty much the same throughout every form that you'll fill out. But I like to go over it because it's really, really important to understand each and every aspect of the forms that you're filling out. Notice here at the top of the intent to file form, it says instructions. It says before completing this form, read the Privacy Act and respondent burden on page 2. This form is used to notify the VA of your intent to file for the general benefits. For more information, contact us online through Ask VA. Remember I said, if you've been watching my videos, remember I said whenever you get any kind of correspondence from the VA or whenever you're submitting any kind of form, read all of the correspondence, read the whole thing, read all the forms, read all of the pages that are there, read the addendums, read all of the contact information. This form is telling you exactly what it's for right there at the top. It's giving you instructions on how to fill out those forms. So many veterans just look over this information, and it's all helpful information. This has something on there called askva.gov. Ask us a question online or call us toll free at 800-827-1000. Oftentimes, veterans feel like that the VA is ignoring them or is not available or doesn't have enough information. When most of what the VA offers, or most of the guidelines, or I would say all of the guidelines and all the regulations are right there online for the veteran. Now, I would agree that sometimes and some veterans may need help guiding them through what some of these regulations and what some of these stipulations mean, and that's perfectly fine. That's the reason why people like me in this YouTube channel exist. It's to help veterans walk through that. But I want you to know that there are resources available online that the VA provides. So when you're filling out your form, And this is why I'm an advocate of filling out the form and submitting that form, because it educates the veteran. It gives you knowledge about the VA claims process that you may not otherwise know. If you just going on VA.gov and you're clicking through boxes or clicking through buttons, you're not being educated about the process. So that's what we intend to do on this channel. And that's what you can do if you actually look at these specific actual forms that the VA is providing. Okay. So block 6 is the veteran's service number, if applicable. Block 7 um, is so just so you know, the veteran service number typically is going to be your social security number. Your VA file number is going to be your social security number, and it has a block for your mailing address. It's important to make sure that this is correct, because the VA, and I still think they actually have where they send you a packet in the mail from one of the contractors, where you'll be doing your CMP exam. So it's important that your address is correct in the VA record system, so that they know that they're contacting the right individual. Your address has got a spot for your city, zip code, your telephone number, and your email address, because there are different ways that the VA may contact you to inform you about your claim or the status of your claim. So make sure those things are up to date, and make sure that they are accurate and correct. And remember, current, accurate, and complete. I'm going to hammer that home during the time that we are on this journey together on this channel. Section 2. Block 10, it has the claimant's name. Now, this, you might say, well, Craig, why are you going over all of this? I know what my name is. You would be surprised that sometimes the VA gets forms like this that aren't filled out properly, right? And one of the things I want you to also notice is, I don't have it here on this particular form, but on most VA forms, they have you put your social on the top of every form, just as an identifier of who that veteran is. If it's not your whole social, they have you put the last four of your social. So important to read every block and fill out every single block. Put something in there, even if you put not applicable. Put something in there. Okay. So claimant's name, your social security number. Have you ever filed a VA claim? If you have, you will complete block 13, which we'll go over in a second. If you have not, you'll just simply put no. VA file number, put an A in there, because if you already have your social, some older veterans may have a VA file number. That's when you register for the Secret Service, and then you have a file number that was assigned to you. But not necessary in this case. Most people have a social security number. Relationship to veteran. Now, this would be if someone is submitting an intent to file on your behalf. It could be a spouse, child, fiduciary, veteran service officer, alternate signer, third party, or other. If you check one, you can check one of those if you're submitting on behalf of the veteran. Claimant's date of birth. Again, mailing address, telephone number, email address. All right. Complete this section only if the claimant is not the veteran. So this is the spot for those who are submitting a claim on behalf of the veteran. Section 2, claimant's identification and formation. Section 3 is going to be the general benefit election. The VA may not be able to use this form to establish an effective date for benefits if you do not select one or more of the general benefits listed below. Okay. Block 19 says, I intend to file for the general benefits checked below. Then you'll choose either compensation or pension. It says, note, only check the box below if you are a surviving dependent of the veteran. So it's telling you exactly how to fill out the form, what to check, and it's giving you more instructions as you move down the form. Okay. Um, so it's got some more information there about selecting the box above. You can also apply for disability compensation online. So it's giving you all of the information that you need. If you get a VA complete application at the selected general benefit within 1 year of filing this form, your complete application will be considered filed as of the date of the receipt of this form. I always tell my clients, please save a copy of this submitted form. If you submit online, they're going to give you a confirmation number, a file number. You want to save that. I often have my clients screenshot it, PDF it, make sure you have it for your records. Every single thing you do in this process, including the intent to file, all the way up to if you have to do a higher level review or an appeal to the Board of Veterans Appeals, you want to keep every piece of documentation that you have. And then there's more information here: declare of intent and signature. By filing this form, I hereby indicate my intent to apply for one or more of the general benefits under the laws administered by the VA. That's very important. Under the laws administered by the VA, you have to be lawful in submitting this claim. You have to follow instructions in submitting this claim. You have to utilize everything that you were taught in the military when you were submitting claims. You got to follow instructions. You got to do what you need to do, right? You have to do what you are told on this form so that it can be very clear what you're filing for. Okay? Make it easier for them. All right. So here in block 22, look at block 22. It says name of attorney, agent, or Veterans Service Organization. Note, this may only be completed by VSO attorney or agent or valid power of attorney has been completed. So if you're an attorney, VSO or accredited agent, or you have POA, then you submit that particular block. All right. And then you'll see below there on page 2, it's the Privacy Act notice that I'm not going to read all of it. It's the Privacy Act notice that they told you to read on page 1. So whenever you see something that says, before you fill this out, go up to another page and read it, we'll just go read that thing, right? It's probably some important information in there, right? And then come back and fill out the form. You want to take your time and make sure you're filling out everything properly. Because what if you check the box pension instead of compensation, right? Then your paperwork will probably be misaligned, it'll be misplaced, or it'll be sent back to you saying that it's inaccurate. You get some correspondence from the VA. So I want to make sure that we read everything and submit as directed. Effective day and back paid example. Example, you submit an ITF January, full claim in June, and then you get back pay from January. Made a little chart for you just to kind of show you how that looks. Okay. So ITF in January, and then your back pay full claim is in June. All right. How to file, methods overview, 3 main ways, and we've talked about that in this video and many other videos on this channel. You can file online, you can file by phone, you can literally call the VA and say, I want to submit a claim, and they will file an intent to file on your behalf. They may ask you a few questions, and they'll put you in the system as someone who is intending to file a claim. Or you can do it by mail or in person. Go into VSO's office or go into your local vet regional center and file the claim. VA.gov auto intent to file when starting certain forms. I told you about that. You'll click on VA.gov, and then it'll ask you a couple of questions. And generally speaking, it'll already have your vet information in there. It might ask you your date of birth. It may ask you to fill out your periods of service. So if you have multiple periods of service, it'll ask you to fill that out. You can get that information from your DD 214, but most of the time, vets and families, most of the time, it's going to already be listed in the system for you when you file it electronically. You can phone call 800-827-1000, mail in person, complete and send form 21-TAC 0966, or you can use VA Quick Submit. All things we have talked about on this channel. What claims it covers: original disability claims, new conditions, increased ratings, and pension and survivor benefits. Understand that when you can submit an intent to file for these things, but there are other forms to submit when you have already been rated or when you're trying to go for different VA benefits. All right. These are the claims that intent to file covers. All right. Original disability claims, new conditions, meaning, you perhaps you're service connected for other things, but this is the first time you're filing for this condition, my back. I've never filed for my back. I'm service connected for my legs, my elbow, or whatever the case may be, mental health claim. Now I'm filing a claim for my back, and I'm submitting for a new condition. Or increased ratings. I am at a certain percentage for a particular condition, compensable condition, and I'm filing for an increased rating because that condition has gotten worse. I have medical documentation. I have proof of nexus to military in-service event, and I have current symptomology for that particular condition. And you can file for pension and survivor benefits on an intent to file form as well. Okay, this is what it does not cover. Supplemental claims, that's another form, another video, another conversation for another time. Listen, people, do not file a supplemental claim on intent to file form. That's not what it's for. All right, it's the VA form 21 TAC 0966. We'll go over it, but that's what you file your supplemental claim for. Appeals or downstream issues, meaning that's not what it's intent to file is not for if you're doing an HLR or BVA. It's not what intent to file is for, or clear and unmistakable error, something like that. You don't use the intent to file for that. All right, get that in your heads, get it in your minds and in your brains. What you use it for, what you don't use it for. You don't want this mistake to cost you a delay in your claim. So really important. You have a 1 year deadline. ITF is good for 1 year. You must file the completed claim within that year. We talked about that before. Here's some common mistakes when you're submitting an intent to file. Filing multiple ITFs and overriding your date. Why would you do that? Why? I put this in here because people have done that. People have filed an intent to file, and most of the time, it's unintentional. They forgot they filed the first intent to file. So let's say you filed on July 26th, right? And you come back, oh, I need to do my claim again, and you go through and you file another intent to file for July the 30th. Now you just pushed your date back 4 days, or oh shoot, September roll around, it's Labor Day, and you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and submit my VA claim, and you go in the system and you submit another intent to file. Because instead of asking someone, man, how do I check and see if I already have an intent to file in the system? It's a very, very easy way to check that. You log into va.gov, okay? You click, I want to file a claim. And so you can just, you know what? I could, I may do a video on it or I may not, because all it really is it's like using Google search, right? You can actually go on va.gov and type in, even if you don't have an account, you can type in how to file a claim. It will take you to a page to show you how to file a claim. You log in, you click on that button, and it will tell you you already have an intent to file on file. Or you could call and find that information out. Okay. Forgetting to follow up with the full claim. So, you submit your intent to file, you're like, all right, yeah, I'm gonna get that claim done. I'm gonna get with Royal Rock Counseling and Consulting, and they're gonna help me with my claim. But 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, 8 months, 10 months go by, 11 months go by, and then the next thing you know, you have passed the full year without filing the actual claim that you submitted intent to file for, and your back pay is now compromised. So don't want to do that. And thinking that it applies to all claim types. You don't submit an intent to file for everything. There are things that it covers, which we already talked about, and things that it does not cover. Okay. Here's a real life example. Veteran files an intent to file on January 1st, gathers records, submits a full claim on October 1st, VA grants benefits back to January 1st. I'm just giving y'all stuff just to kind of really ingrain it in your minds. This is how it works. It back pays from the time you submit the ITF. Okay. Survivor benefits example. Surviving spouse files an ITF while gathering records, files a full DIC claim within a year. Benefits start from the ITF date. Just different examples, different education for people who are not veterans or are not familiar with the VA process. Okay. Here's a recap. Filing an intent to file with the VA is one of the smartest first steps that you can take in the VA disability claims process. It locks in your earliest effective date, protecting months of possible back pay while you gather medical records, buddy statements, and other evidence. Listen, guys, you are a survivor, or your accredited representative. All of them can file an ITF online at va.gov. They can file over the phone. They can use a VA form 21 tag 0966, or they can file in person at the regional office. I want you to remember something. An ITF gives you 1 year to submit your completed claim. Once you file, the VA matches to your ITF so that your benefits are paid back to the ITF date. I'm trying to hammer that home. Just be careful, guys. Only one ITF per benefit type can be active at one time. Just one per benefit type. And it doesn't apply to supplemental claims. Filing an ITF is simple. It's free. You don't need to hire a claims company to be like, we're going to help you file your ITF. We're going to make sure it's all good and correct. You can do that on your own. Trust me. It can save you months of lost benefits, okay? Thank you guys for watching. If this video helped you in any way understand how to lock in your effective date and protect your retroactive benefits, please give it a like, give it a thumbs up, share with another veteran who's just getting started. This is part of how I'm teaching you guys step by step how to properly, effectively, convincingly file your claim with the VA, from the intent to file process all the way to the Board of Veterans Appeals if necessary. So be sure to subscribe, turn on notifications so you don't miss what's next. And I want you to know that your service matters, your benefits matter, and your healing journey, no matter where you are in that journey, deserves the type of clarity and confidence that is unique to your situation. So keep reclaiming your purpose and keep living royally and living well. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.